At dawn, the South China Sea was calm, until Vietnamese and Filipino Coast Guard ships appeared together on the horizon. For the first time, two rivals joined forces, sending a powerful message across Asia. Headlines declared their unity, and people wondered, will this alliance bring peace or more tension? For decades, Vietnam and the Philippines had their own disputes over islands and fishing grounds. Both countries claimed parts of the South China Sea. Sometimes, their ships even faced off against each other. The idea of these two countries becoming close partners once seemed impossible. But the situation changed quickly. As China increased its presence and built artificial islands, both Vietnam and the Philippines felt more pressure. They realized that alone, they were weaker. Together they might have a chance to protect their rights. Their leaders began to talk more often, sharing concerns and ideas. This alliance surprised many experts. It was rare for two Southeast Asian neighbors with a history of competition to make such a bold move. They signed new agreements, promised to cooperate, and even allowed their coast guards to work together. The world took notice. Suddenly, the South China Sea was not just China's playground. The partnership is not just about military power, it is about trust and survival. Both countries know that working together gives them a stronger voice. It signals a new chapter in the region's story, one where even old rivals can find common ground when faced with a bigger threat. The South China Sea is not just a local problem, it is one of the busiest waterways on Earth. Every year, ships carrying trillions of dollars worth of goods pass through. Oil, gas, food, and electronics all travel this route, linking Asia with the rest of the world. But the sea is not just important for trade. Its waters are rich with fish, which feed millions of people in the region. Many families depend on fishing for their income. The seafloor also holds valuable oil and natural gas reserves. Whoever controls the sea controls these resources. That is why so many countries care about what happens here. China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan all claim parts of the sea. Each wants to protect its own interests and people. The stakes are high, not only for governments, but also for ordinary citizens. If conflict breaks out, it could disrupt global trade, hurt economies, and harm millions. This makes the South China Sea a flashpoint for the world. Stability here is everyone's business, from Tokyo to Washington to Canberra. For years, Vietnam and the Philippines watched each other warily. Their fishing boats sometimes clashed. Coast guards would shadow each other near disputed reefs. Trust was hard to find. But when China began building artificial islands and patrolling more aggressively, things started to change. Leaders in Hanoi and Manila began to meet more often. They shared intelligence about Chinese ship movements. They planned joint patrols, where ships from both countries would sail together to show unity. The first joint patrol happened in early 2026. It was a historic moment, two former rivals standing together. They also agreed to set up hotlines for quick communication. This helped avoid accidents and misunderstandings at sea. New trade and tourism deals followed, showing that cooperation could bring real benefits. Ordinary people started to feel the difference. This new partnership did not erase old disputes, but it showed that countries can adapt to new threats. By working together, Vietnam and the Philippines hope to protect their national interests and send a clear message to China. China has always claimed most of the South China Sea. Its so-called 9-dash line covers almost the entire region. To make its claim real, China built these huge artificial islands. It installed runways, radar stations, and missile systems. Chinese Coast Guard ships, sometimes much bigger than those of its neighbors, patrol these waters every day. This show of strength has worried many countries. Vietnamese and Filipino fishermen report being chased or even sprayed with water cannons by Chinese ships. Some have had their boats damaged or, lost valuable catch. These actions create fear and anger. China says it is only protecting its own territory, but honestly, many see this as bullying. Instead of solving disputes through talks, China uses its size and power. The South China Sea has become a place where small boats face off against giants. Every new patrol, every confrontation, raises tensions. The risk of accidents or a bigger conflict grows. That is why Vietnam and the Philippines decided to act together. They want to stand strong, even as China continues to push its claims. The South China Sea is not just an Asian problem. The United States, Japan, and Australia all have strong interest here. They want sea lanes to stay open and safe. They also support international law, which they believe should decide who controls what. The U.S. Navy often sails near disputed islands to show that the sea should be free for everyone. These are called freedom of navigation operations. Japan and Australia join exercises and offer training to Vietnam and the Philippines. Their support gives smaller countries more confidence. This outside help is not only about military strength, it also includes sharing information, building ports, and supporting local communities. The message is clear. The world will not ignore what happens in the South China Sea. Still, the involvement of big powers also brings risks. China sees these moves as a threat. The challenge is to build security without causing a bigger crisis. For now, Vietnam and the Philippines welcome the support. It helps them stand up for their rights and keeps the world watching. Old alliances were often built on strict military promises. Countries would sign treaties to defend each other if attacked. But today, alliances in Asia are different. They're more flexible and focus on shared interests, like keeping trade flowing and protecting fishermen. Vietnam and the Philippines are not forming a traditional military alliance. Instead, they're working together where their interests meet. This makes their partnership more adaptive and less likely to drag them into unwanted conflicts. It also allows them to cooperate with other countries as needed. This new kind of alliance is all about speed and sharing. Hotlines, joint patrols, and information exchanges help them react quickly to changing situations. This approach really does make it harder for any one country, like China, to bully its neighbors. Modern alliances are built on trust and real needs, not just written promises. For countries in the South China Sea, this might just be the best way forward in a world that is always changing. The new partnership between Vietnam and the Philippines is kind of like a neighborhood watch for the sea. By working together, they can spot trouble early and respond faster. This makes it a lot harder for outside forces to create problems without being noticed. Other countries in Southeast Asia are watching closely. Some, like Malaysia and Indonesia, have their own concerns about China's actions. They might join in or maybe form their own mini-alliances. The more countries work together, the safer the region becomes. Joint patrols are really just the start. Information sharing helps catch smugglers, pirates, and illegal fishing. Training together builds trust and skills. All these steps create a network of cooperation that is stronger than any single country acting alone. This neighborhood watch approach is something new for Asia. It's a sign that countries are learning to protect themselves and each other, even when big powers are involved. Honestly, it could become a model for handling other disputes around the world. For many, the South China Sea isn't about politics or power, it's about daily life. Fishermen from Vietnam and the Philippines risk their lives every single day to feed their families. They face storms, rough seas, and now, growing danger from coast guards and foreign ships. Some fishermen tell stories of being chased away from their usual grounds. Others say they've lost boats or gear. Yet, there's new hope. With the alliance, coast guards are more likely to protect their own people. Fishermen feel safer going to sea, though risks still remain. Local communities are watching closely. Markets depend on fish caught in disputed waters. Schools teach children about the changing sea. People hope that peace and cooperation will mean better lives, not just for them, but for future generations. The alliance brings hope, but it's not a magic solution. There are still dangers and old disputes. But as countries work together and support their people, there's a real chance for change. The future of the South China Sea is being written by ordinary people just as much as by leaders and soldiers. The Vietnam-Philippines alliance is a bold challenge to China's power in the South China Sea. It shows that small countries can make a difference when they work together. The world is watching to see what happens next. The stakes are high. At risk is not just control of islands or fishing grounds, but the safety and prosperity of millions. Global trade, food security, and peace in the region all depend on how these disputes are handled. This new partnership could really change the future. If it works, it may inspire others to cooperate and stand up for their rights. If it fails, it could lead to more conflict and hardship. The outcome will shape Asia and the world for years to come. In the end, the South China Sea is more than just a map or a headline. It's a lifeline for families, a test for leaders, and a challenge for all of us. The next chapter depends on the choices made today by both countries and communities as they navigate these troubled waters together.